sports.
We are the Fourth. We are Florida.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Washington, D.C. It's the last road trip of the regular season. A stop in the nation's capital, the Marlins and the Nats here at Nationals Park. It's a little rainy here, but the good news is we're going to start on time. The tarp is off the field. The diamond dry is on the mound. Guys are getting ready. We are going to have some baseball in the week leading up to the postseason. Neither one of these two teams, unfortunately, heading there, but some unfinished business when it comes to the regular season. Inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. Marlins a nice homestand to close out their home schedule, having won 4 of 6. 2 against these Nationals. They split that 2-game set, and in one of those games, a rematch of tonight's pitching matchup. Let's start with Sandy Alcantara. We have seen his good, and we have seen his maybe not so good, and that was the last time against Washington.
Well, and I think this is a unique situation. You look at his handful of starts this year. There's only one team coming into tonight's start where he's doubled up on a team. If you go from the Mets start to the next Mets start, he was absolutely outstanding. You see the ERA on the season of 2.35. The walks, that's what catches your attention. And what the start you're talking about is his last start against the Nationals, where he walked 6. I mean, that's not going to cut it. It's not going to be good enough if he's hoping to go longer into the ballgame. But the one thing that I'm clinging to tonight, number one, the conditions I really think are going to favor the pitching tonight. And number two, Sandy's now doubling up on his second team. So he gets to go back at the Nationals, and he's shown the ability to make improvements. Like I said, that Mets series, he definitely did it.
Well, a little more than doubling up for Steven Strasburg against the Miami Marlins. Just about a full season's worth over the course of his career. He's got 17 wins against the Miami Marlins. That's the most against any team he has pitched against.
Well, including 8 straight, and I think that's the unfortunate part of this discussion. But here's the one thing I'm clinging to in this game tonight. He has struggled at Nats Park, 5.20 ERA on the season. And again, these aren't perfect conditions tonight. Just about anything could happen. And Strasburg, even though he's been pitching better of late, has made a few mistakes in some ball games. And in fact, Peter O'Brien got him last time out. If there's a few mistakes there, maybe this Marlins team, who's had some good offensive outbursts here at Nationals Park, can jump on him.
All right, so a terrific pitching matchup to start this 3-game series in the nation's capital. We step aside. When we come back, we'll have baseball on time with a rematch on the Hill in D.C. Back with baseball in a moment. Brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your South Florida Toyota dealers. Back here at Nationals Park. Not the prettiest of nights, but certainly playable. Kind of a raw night, a little bit of a mist in the air, sometimes heavier than others, but we're going to start on time. And here's a look at the Marlins starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. JT Riddle in the top spot. Miguel Rojas gets the start at second base today. JT Realmuto behind the plate. Peter O'Brien, mentioned in the open, a home run against Strasburg when these two teams faced off last week in Miami. So Strasburg is ready to go against JT Riddle, who thought about bunting, instead takes the ball outside, 1-0, and we're underway here in D.C. with Strasburg on the hill in his 21st start of the year.
Yeah, and his third start against the Marlins. He's been a hot hand of late. He's been pitching particularly well. Now we're going to do his last start against the Marlins. 6 innings, 5 hits, 11 Ks. Now that's a season high. He struck out 6 in a row at one point in that ball game. Four-seam fastball, sinker, change, curve, slider.
Now you can see the mist, and again, you don't really see any puddles gathering on the warning tracks in front of the dugouts or out in the outfield at all. The tarp was on the field until maybe 45 minutes ago, maybe even less than that.
Right.
It's 64 degrees, a 10-mile-an-hour wind, which is making that mist maybe look a little worse. But again, we're underway and we're going to go.
One of the few times I think you would agree it looks worse than it actually is.
Right.
Fair? Right. We look up at the lights and it looks like, oh my goodness, this could be remnants of a hurricane, for crying out loud,
right.
And it's just really not what's going on.
Riddle fouls that one back, so it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, one thing I can promise you, partner, is that you're not going to get a foul ball in this booth.
I don't think so.
We're running out of booths. We've only got one more left on the season.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, here it's a no-go because we're just shy of a mile north of home plate here. But maybe in New York. Maybe in New York we'll get a souvenir. We'll see. Maybe. 3-2 from Strasburg is through the right side for a leadoff single from JT Riddle.
Let's get you the Auto Nation scouting report of Steven Strasburg. We did just see him a start ago. He's been on a roll of late. Last 5 starts, 3-0 with a 2.64 ERA. I think what's been impressive to most, just over 30 innings of work, 38 strikeouts, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 5. And remember this, 17 career wins versus the Marlins, most versus any opponent. Now the velo has been down, and I say no problem because he's been pitching particularly well, but I think most of us around the game remember he was on the disabled list with a pinched nerve in his neck. He's only been hanging out in that 92 to 94 range. In fact, a couple of fastballs to JT, 92, 93 range. It's been getting hit a little bit harder. But for the most part, he's used his secondary pitches particularly well, and he's going to change. That's the last one. We've already seen it. Season high, 27 changeups in his last start against the Marlins. Remember, as I said, struck out 11, 7 of those on the changeup.
Nothing in 1-2. Miguel Rojas takes the ball high, 1-1. Miguel has hits in 5 of his last 6 starts, including a home run, 3 RBIs, 11 homers, 51 ribbies on the season. Again, getting the start at second base tonight, a night off for Starlin Castro. Inside, 2-1 to Miggy.
Yeah, the one difference, I think, for Strasburg over his last few starts, even in his last start against the Marlins, it wasn't overpowering in the sense that it was 95, 96, 97 leading into that dominant breaking ball, the good curveball that he throws. It was more of him spotting his fastball and using his secondary pitches to get outs. Well, there's definitely, a hitter will tell you, there's most definitely a difference between 93 and 95. You feel it in the box, and it definitely at times will cause you to cheat maybe just a little bit to that fastball, which can open up the secondary pitches.
2-1 sent out to left center field. Harper is back, and that's going to get down and off the wall. JT Riddle with a good read on it, coming around, and he will score on the RBI double from Miguel Rojas. An early 1-0 lead for the Marlins.
Yeah, this is what you wanted to see coming into tonight's ball game to start this final road trip. The Marlins playing such good baseball to wrap up the homestand. Gets on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, Paul. Kind of what I'm talking about here. This is up in the zone and in just a bit, but it's not overwhelming. Able to pull his hands in and one-hop the left center field wall. Now, Harper gets it in. There's a little air under that. Certainly helped JT's come around to score from third.
So 10 pitches and 2 batters in, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead as JT Realmuto steps in. JT 6 for his last 18, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 4 runs scored in that span. And a chance to add another with Rojas in scoring position inside for ball 1.
I'll tell you what, I think JT may have had his most enjoyable day off yesterday because Chad Wallach got behind the plate, was absolutely fantastic, and had himself a huge day offensively. That makes JT's job real easy.
Wallach was terrific as JT got the day game after a night game off. 3 hits, his first big league home run. Marlins picked up the win, another shutout victory for them. There's Chad bundled up in the Marlins dugout. Strasburg wanted it, but looked like it may have been a little low, said the home plate umpire Angel Hernandez. Alan Porter is over at first base. Chad Whitson at second, and the crew chief Bill Miller is at third.
Well, JT's got a 5-game hitting streak at Nats Park this season. For 22 going right now. A couple homers, 7 RBIs. In fact, leads all major league hitters this season with 26 hits in this building. More than anybody. He's tied for second with 13 RBIs.
A chance for another, but he'll have to do it with 2 strikes. An RBI double for Miguel Rojas has the Marlins on the board here in the first inning. An early run, perhaps more, for Sandy Alcantara. And the 2-2 pitch on the way is grounded into the Marlins dugout. Look out down there. Brinson was the one that headed for cover.
I think that was the hanging changeup from Strasburg. And obviously his last start, it was a very effective pitch, but that was well up in the zone.
Again, a 2-2 pitch to JT. Swung on and missed. And that's the first out in the first inning.
Give you another look. This is what the changeup looks like. He doubled up to the inside part of the plate. JT down to a knee trying to get some contact. Doesn't come up with it. Strasburg's first strikeout tonight.
So it'll bring up Peter O'Brien, who homered last week against Strasburg. Takes a look at a strike on the outside corner.
There's the Nationals defensively behind Strasburg. Soto gets the start in left. Harper in center. Eaton once again back in right. Rendon, Turner. Turner started in all 150. Excuse me, has played in all 156 games. Defoe's at second. Zimmerman at first, and Wieters behind the plate for the Nationals.
Well, Turner hasn't just played in the games. We can get into it much more when he comes to the plate, but he has made an impact in a lot of those games too. Terrific young player with the Washington Nationals. Unfortunately for them, and it's a similar situation as it was last week, only a little bit more definite now that they have been mathematically eliminated. They lost 3 out of 4 to the New York Mets and 6 of 10 overall. 0-2. O'Brien's last 11 games, .323 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs, getting an extended look at first base these last few weeks of the season. Guy with immense power, and it's been on display a few times. A few doubles mixed in there too, 3 to be exact, in the 3 or so weeks that he's been with the Marlins. Pops this one up toward the Nationals dugout, and that'll reach the seats. Already at 20 pitches with 1 out in this first inning.
Yeah, the Marlins have shown pretty good patience. They fouled off a few tough ones as well.
.0-2 again is grounded foul. Look out, BA in the on-deck circle.
I do think sometimes this is the complications that a starter goes through, and he makes back-to-back starts against the exact same offense. It's almost kind of, you know, the 4th, 5th, and 6th at bat, if you will.
Right.
That effect that does happen. So there's a clear advantage, I think, for both offenses tonight as far as release points and familiarity with the opposing starter.
Strasburg and Wieters trying to get on the same page here. Here's the 0-2 to O'Brien again. Swung on and missed, and it's back-to-back strikeouts. 2 away here in the first.
And he continues to lean on the changeup to get that strikeout. It's 2 now. Here even in the first inning. Take another look. Starts out right down the middle of the plate, ends up at the bottom of the zone.
Good separation in terms of the miles per hour. It's just a matter of staying in the strike zone. 15 strikes, 7 balls. But back-to-back strikeouts after the RBI double from Rojas. And here's Brian Anderson. A strike on the outside edge, 0-1. Now for BA, had a 3-hit game yesterday. His first 3-hit game since August 5th. Slowed down a little bit in September, but nice to see him pick it up with a 3-hit day yesterday. Had the double in extra innings the night prior.
He had a nice homestand, 6 for 19, 5 runs, a double, RBI. Scored the game-winning run on Saturday night. Got things going.
.0-2 from Strasburg. In these conditions, when it's rainy or misty or whatever, sometimes people will say, well, the ball gets slippery, but rarely is the ball in play for that long, right?
Yeah, the ball doesn't get slippery. You can hear that when if it's on the infield grass, particularly the outfielder. I think this is where the outfielders probably have more of a say in this one. If you get a ground ball that gets through. But you're right. Just about every ball, every pitch thrown kind of gets thrown out of play.
RBI double for Miguel Rojas, who's at second base tonight. Not just a night off for Starlin Castro. In fact, left the ballpark right before the start of the game to head back to Fort Lauderdale. His wife went into labor, so congratulations to the Castro family. Best wishes, and what can sometimes be a stressful time, trying to find a flight and get back home and be by her side. So we send our best down to Florida and the Castro family. JT Realmuto knows a thing or two about leaving the club when his wife goes into labor. right before the All-Star break, in fact, as Anderson grounds it foul. Still 1-2.
Strasburg has thrown 28 pitches here in the first inning. He's creeping up on 30. He has had to work hard. Rain coming down, not ideal conditions.
One, two.
Good
Inside.
take. How about that? Well done, Brian Anderson.
They got the last 2 strikeouts on that changeup and tried it again, but Anderson a good eye.
Well, did exactly what Strasburg wanted. Looking for the swing and miss, but didn't get it.
Anderson 6th in baseball, .359 average with runners in scoring position. Battling here in the first inning. And that's 30 for Strasburg. Crowd here at Nationals Park trying to get behind their starter. Anderson trying to battle, and he in fact is hit by a pitch. I think that got a piece of Wieters too. No, maybe not.
Yeah, he's heading to first base. There you go.
No, the Wieters.
Oh, sorry.
I thought it got a piece of Wieters the way that he was kind of crouched over.
Right, I was watching Anderson because it seemed like the Nats were kind of hanging in there. Did it hit him or not? Must look like it hit the knob and still hit the hand.
It looked like it might have hit the knob of the bat. Let's take a listen. Well, we'll do so after the pitch to Lewis Brinson, who bats now with 2 on and 2 out. All right, so this was the hit by pitch. Take a listen. What do you got? You got Anderson at first?
Couldn't tell. Black batting gloves.
Right. Hey, Nationals could have challenged. They chose not to.
It's true. Not sure. Well, listen. I have an idea what Brian Anderson could do if baseball doesn't work out. I think he's fine with the baseball, but you know what I mean.
1-1 to Brinson. Look out, Freddie down the third base line. It's making sure everybody in the dugout saw that. See how agile I am down here, gentlemen?
Strasburg just continues to throw the changeup with the arm side run in to all these right-handed hitters and try to keep the ball, keep the barrel inside.
The 35th pitch of the first inning is fouled away. The 1-2 pitch to Brinson is in the dirt, picked by Wieters. 2 balls and 2 strikes. See Strasburg trying to get some of the dirt or mud out of his spikes. Fouled away again.
Well, it's about the same pitch every time. It's the changeup. As I said, arm side run. Looks like Brinson might have broken his bat fighting it off. Really no consistency inside the strike zone for Strasburg. As we mentioned, he got into a pretty good rhythm at Marlins Park. He'd give up the home run to Peter O'Brien. Other than that, 11 punch-outs.
He had a 31-pitch first inning on August 22nd against the Phillies. I believe that is as high as he's gone all year in the first. This is number 38. This one rolled to third. Off-balance throw from Rendon. Well, Strasburg had to work hard. The back-to-back hits, single and an RBI double, all the Marlins have to show for it. A 1-0 Marlins lead on the RBI double for Miguel Rojas. Sandy Alcantara has an early run of support as he gets set to face the Washington Nationals. Adam Eaton leads things off in their starting lineup, presented to you by Southwest. Trey Turner putting together a heck of a season. A great second half for Bryce Harper. Anthony Rendon with a lengthy on-base streak still intact. He bats fourth in front of Juan Soto, who in many people's eyes is the National League Rookie of the Year. But for Alcantara, back on the bump against the same team he faced last time out. Overall, fifth start of the season, and second time he faces the Nats. The first pitch to Adam Eaton is upstairs for ball one.
Well, fifth start of 2018 for Sandy. It's his second road start. Does have a couple of quality starts. See the ERA at 2.35. The whips at 1.30. Really, the only thing to complain about is the walks. He's got 16 of them in just 23 innings of work. He hasn't been hit hard, really, by anybody. Lefty's hitting 125. Righty's 250. One thing with the lefties, and it's almost to the same side of the plate, Paul. I think it's interesting. 9 walks. Remember this. His last start was against the Nationals, September 18th. 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 6 walks, only 51% strikes. The reason I bring it up again, all 6 walks were to left-handed batters. Harper had 3, as did a few other Nationals, but again, all 6 walks to the Nats lefties.
A payoff pitch to Eaton. And that one outside, so another walk to a lefty, a leadoff walk, in fact. And Eaton is aboard.
Well, the Marlins are playing good baseball. They've won 3 straight. They're 9-11 in September. I'm not sure Marlins fans know that. They've been picking it up here of late. Things starting to turn again for them in a positive way. Dean, Brinson, Sierra, that's your outfield. Anderson, Riddle, Rojas, O'Brien. Realmuto behind the plate for the 109th time this season. Rojas, how about he's at second base for the 7th time here in 2018.
Trey Turner takes a called strike. recently picked up his 42nd stolen base, which leads Major League Baseball. Also his franchise record 123rd stolen base in his career.
He reached base 5 times yesterday. He's been one of the hotter Nationals. On base streak at 23 games, an 11-game hitting streak. 11 runs, 5 stolen bases. He's finishing strong.
A very consistent presence in the Nationals lineup. And Alcantara's got him set up 0-2, and he strikes him out 97 miles an hour from Alcantara. That's the first strikeout of the game for Sandy.
Well, very similar pattern to what we saw in the last start against the Nationals. Struggled with too many of the right-handers, struggled with the lefties. Right at Turner. He puts him down. 3 pitches, first strikeout of the night.
So 1 on and 1 out for Bryce Harper. Of course, there has been speculation throughout this entire season that this could be the last year for Harper in D.C. Now, we certainly don't know what will happen this offseason, but if that's true, if he does sign a free agent contract elsewhere, these 3 games would be his last 3 at home here at Nationals Park. Into the gap in left center field, cut off by Brinson. Eaton on his way to third, Harper towards second, and in there safely.
Now we'll take another look. Bryce Harper takes a center cut fastball and drives it into the left center field gap. Nice job by Brinson. You could tell that ball skipped on the wet outfield grass. Able to catch it clean. And Harper gets his double. Eaton only able to get to third base.
So Eaton on third and Harper on second with 1 out for Anthony Rendon.
Well, for Harper, that's his 3rd double on the homestand.
Marlins play the infield back as Rendon rips this one to left field. It one-hops the wall. And 2 runs will score easily as Rendon with a double drives home 2, but also extends his on-base streak to 32 games, and it's 2-1 Nationals.
Well, what does seem to come true when starters make back-to-back starts against a team seems to be happening here in the first inning. The Nationals all over Alcantara as the Marlins were all over Strasburg, making him work. Now this mistake, that's the changeup. It's up in the zone. Rendon got in the box ready to swing the bat. That hitting streak now up to 10 games. 19th extra base hit in his last 32. You know, it's so interesting. Paul, you and I, we talked about this in the 2-game series in Miami as Soto steps into the box. This offense has been roaring for the Nats here in the second half. At their record, 30-30. It's a bizarre year for this team, I believe.
It is truly unexplainable why this team
on-base percentage, doubles, stolen bases, runs scored. I mean, we're talking top 3 in Major League Baseball in the last 60 games, yet they're 30-30.
We've got a pitcher in Max Scherzer who is right. in perhaps any other year a shoe-in for a Cy Young, if not for some guy named Jacob deGrom. We'll see Scherzer tomorrow night. But yeah, no matter what way you slice it, these Nationals are a 500 team. It's exactly where they are in Davey Martinez's first year. 78 up, 78 down.
Oh, okay. That's what?
And out of any sort of playoff contention with a week left in the regular season.
He missed the playoffs for the first time since 2015.
It's high to Soto, a ball and 2 strikes.
Kind of curious to see how Soto handles this series against the Marlins. If you remember, just a little while ago, Soto came into Marlins Park riding a 10-game hitting streak, and the Marlins, they got him upside down, inside out. He left 0 for 9 and is now 2 for his last 23.
So time called at the last possible second. And Alcantara threw the pitch, so as a hitter, do you take note of what that pitch was and either eliminate it or think, here it comes again?
It's a great question. I think it applies at certain situations, but when you're defending the strike zone with 2 strikes, I don't know if it necessarily applies. You're thinking short, quick, and defend. I don't think Alcantara is the guy that you're really sitting on his slider when you know he's got 97 in the arsenal. Well, it's very interesting. Acuna Jr. ends up winning the National League Rookie of the Year award. Now, again, this is just merely my opinion, but hard to ignore this slump that he's in right now here at the end of the season, as well as Acuna has been playing in September as well. We'll see. Obviously, I'm not playing my hand. I've been kind of Soto all along, but he is struggling here towards the end of the season. We very well may have to kind of nitpick the numbers to kind of pick the winner. As both guys have just gone mano-a-mano all season long. They both have been so outstanding.
Yeah, it's one of those races where there's no wrong answer.
Right.
Maybe there's just one that's a little more right than the other.
I completely agree. Well, you kind of, and again, sometimes it's how you feel. That's why I mentioned the 2 for 23.
Right. Same thing goes with the NL Cy Young with Scherzer. Although two of us at least, for whatever that's worth, believe that it's DeGrom's to win at this point. That's not to say that Scherzer has not had another amazing season.
Potentially going to strike out 300 batters. He's got start tomorrow night. I'm speculating one more start towards the end. Of course, things get a little, different there, a little skewy, if you will. That last series, we'll see.
Soto strikes out, second out of the inning, and second strikeout for Alcantara.
Well, nice pitch from Alcantara. That's the changeup down in the zone. I love it when he goes into the go zone, but you've got to be confident to throw the pitch. When I mean the go zone, I'm talking middle of the plate, trusting that the pitch will come out. It will have the bite and the depth that you need to get the swing and the miss. And when you try to throw that off edges, you don't always get what you're looking for. But when you throw it down the middle of the plate, not too many hitters will lay off.
A strike to Ryan Zimmerman, who on the season is hitting .267 with 13 homers and 49 RBIs. But if you go back to the last week or so of August, hitting about .300 with 11 doubles, 3 homers, and 13 driven in. Very good August for Zimmerman. Not a horrible September, at least in terms of the average. 281 this month. Too short. Riddle makes the play, and the inning is over. Both teams score in the first. Marlins get 1, the Nationals 2 on the Rendon double.
Into the top of the second inning, Nationals have a 2-1 lead. Enjoy an experience that goes beyond baseball with Marlins membership. Starting at just 10 games, you'll be able to enjoy the season with a Saturday, Sunday, or a variety plan. All membership gives you access to our exclusive new benefits like ticket exchanges, savings at the ballpark, and special experiences. Visit marlinsenrollment.com. It all starts here.
It all starts in warm, sunny, dry Miami.
Do you remember what I told you right about it was your first week down? You and I, we went to spring training. We were down there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I said to you, you're going to get soft.
Yes.
Just embrace the soft. It's not really a big deal. I've gotten soft.
Yeah.
Admittedly. And what I mean by soft, you spend a year in the sunshine where it never gets cold. You never go back.
A year. Dude, between my life before college and even in college, I never lived, and I'm 34 years old, never lived further south than New Jersey.
Right.
Okay? I was down in the Miami area for 3 weeks before I was like, oh, this is nice. Our first road trip was to Philadelphia. I had to go buy a jacket.
Right.
Oh, goodness.
It's 63 and rainy tonight, and you're like,
That's right. The good news is I have a sweater.
That's right.
The bad news is it is currently in my suitcase in the hotel room.
Not doing you any good there.
So it's nice and warm. Nice and warm. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Austin Dean leading it off. Roller up to third, barehanded by Rendon, who has no play, and it's another hit for Dean.
Good for Austin Dean. I'll tell you, he's hit a number of balls hard right at people, even on the last homestand. A little swinging bunt down the third base line. Rendon charges. He was back, but with the wet ball, not even worth a throw. That's a base hit. Worth a big smile.
Yeah, I mean, they're not all screamers. They all count just the same.
Well, wouldn't you agree? I mean, he's kind of been getting it a little bit more than most. I mean, he's lined out a number of times, a couple of hard hit balls even in the last game.
That's right. Had a 3-hit day the other few days ago.
Well, that's right. He was getting some paybacks. I'm just talking about the number of outs, though, that he was kind of making that were hard off the bat. That's where you get a little payback right there.
So he is aboard for Magniori's Sierra. Who squared on the first pitch, swings away on the second, and it's 1-1. Sierra's been coming around. You'll look at that 198 average and say, well, that's not great, or the 228 on base percentage and say for a speedster, that's not great. But look at it in the shorter term. Last 9 games, he's 9 for 22. That's an average above 400. 3 RBIs and 3 walks. Don Mattingly pointed out those walks today when he met with the media. Of course, Sierra had gone a long time. Where were we? Somewhere 60, 80 at bats, somewhere in there, without having drawn a walk. His first one was an intentional walk. Right. And now he's been drawing a few more walks.
Certainly got a few more bunt hits.
That's right.
Got 5 on the season, in fact.
And that was the message today, was that Sierra is a work in progress, but a guy that this organization certainly thinks highly of. And on 3-1, he works the walk. First walk for Strasburg. Stay tuned in the 7th inning. It's the Ram game break. We'll check back in with the studio.
Well, an opportunity for Sandy Alcantara to move the runners along with a good bunt. Get the job done here. He's got a few variables that are working towards him. Again, I continue to mention it, but it helps. The wet grass. So really, he doesn't have to be perfect here. He just needs to get it down one side or the other and probably move those runners up.
As long as it gets to the grass, though, right? You got to get it on
well,
the grass.
That's right. I mean, of course, that's what I'm kind of insinuating.
Zimmerman creeping in from first. Alcantara pops it up right back to Strasburg.
Well, that's not the one you were looking for. Well, caught a little too much barrel and jabbed at it just a bit. Popped right back up to Scherzer. Or excuse me, he's tomorrow night. That's Strasburg.
I get him confused all the time. So back to the top of the order for JT Riddle. We got a base hit, scored the Marlins' only run back in the first inning. He's got 2 on now, Dean and Sierra at second and first. Swings and misses. 0-1. .50 pitches already for Strasburg. That's number 51, and it's inside. A ball and a strike.
Well, right man, right spot. I'll tell you, JT Riddle, he loves him some Nationals Park, doesn't he? Hitting all 6 career games now. In the series he had August 17th through the 19th here Nats Park was one for the ages, at least for JT. Maybe his best series as a pro. 7 for 12, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs. Had a 4 RBI game in game 2 and a 3 RBI game in game 3 with doubles and homers in both.
Strasburg has worked out of the stretch for most of the night. The leadoff single to Riddle in the first and the leadoff single to Dean here in the second. He's gone 6 innings in 15 of his 20 starts this season, but with 1 out in the second. This is pitch number 55. On a cool night in D.C. with the team out of the mix and perhaps only 1 start beyond this. I don't know how much long, not to say that they're going to get him out of the game now, but I'm just saying I'm not sure how far Dave Martinez would allow Strasburg to go if he shows that he's having a tough time either getting a grip or finding the strike zone for one reason or another. Three-two pitch called strike 3 on the outside corner. That's 3 strikeouts for Strasburg and 2 away here in the second.
Well, those 3 strikeouts certainly have been big. They've been on the tail end of, well, offensive upstart from the Marlins. It's a big strikeout there of Riddle. I guess my point is this: he's thrown 56 pitches. He is still not in rhythm. And that's certainly fair enough to say. The Marlins have been battling him as Riddle got it all the way back to 3-2. It's 16 foul balls in the first inning. So even though the 3 strikeouts through 2 innings, I still think the Marlins doing a much better job of fighting him off.
That one gets away from Wieters, and Dean and Sierra both move up. The wild pitch puts 2 runners in scoring position for Miguel Rojas, who had the RBI double back in the first. Two 2-0. Getting some encouragement from the crowd.
Yeah, I think the guy's in the third deck. Well, it's not a big crowd tonight with the weather and all. Certainly understand that. It's interesting, isn't it, when you think that a large crowd like 35 or 37,000 people would be much louder, right?
Right.
I remember these days, but what ends up happening is it very much becomes white noise to a player on the field. It's actually the smaller crowds where you hear individuals more clearly and more specifically,
right.
Much like the last gentleman who thinks Steven Strasburg needs to get it together.
That's ball 4, and they are loaded for JT Realmuto. It was close. Miggy might have even waited to see if that was a strike. But the second walk of the inning and game for Strasburg, and they're loaded with 2 outs. And Derek Lilliquist out to the mound. Look at the last pitch. He's looked into Angel Hernandez a couple of times tonight. Close, yes.
That's no guarantee.
But
that's
not necessarily down
100% inside the zone. I mean, we've seen that pitch called both ways all season long.
And as I know we've talked about a lot, no matter who the pitcher is, you're at 60 pitches with 2 outs in the second inning. You're not going to get the edges called very often.
Well, right man, right spot. JT Realmuto, great career numbers against Strasburg. 9 for 25, that's a 360 average. Has a chance to do something big here with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the second inning. On to his career high in RBIs. Currently at 73.
Dean Sierra Rojas, the runners third to first. And Strasburg gets the sign and is set for the 0-1 to Realmuto. Tapped foul, 0-2. Right around 30 pitches in each of the first 2 innings. But the Marlins have just 1 run. That can change with 1 swing of the bat from Realmuto. And instead he goes down looking, and Strasburg works into and out of a bases loaded jam in inning number 2. Marlins down 2-1. deficit right now. We check in with, well, that is a beautiful umbrella right there. Jessica Blaylock.
Well, hey, Paul, I've been trying to come up with a way to describe tonight's weather. How about this? It's not raining, but it's not raining. That's just my professional analysis right there. But hey, give the Nationals grounds crew some credit. They got the field ready earlier this afternoon when it was not raining. That included laying those chalk lines. So the field was ready when they took the tarp off. They also tried to leave the tarp on for as long as possible so that the field would not take on too much water. And then we just saw in between innings, the grounds crew is coming back out and putting that diamond dust on the field to keep the conditions as great as they possibly can. And you know what? Not only is my umbrella awesome, but I've got a great view of Yadiel Rivera dancing right now in the dugout. So a lot of fun down here right now, guys.
Now we have the same view of it. Fantastic. Give him a thumbs up. Tell him he's doing a terrific job down there. Thank you, Jessica. I don't know if I've seen him not smile. If there's one thing about Yadiel Rivera, he loves the game of baseball. I love that about him.
Yadi loves life. We ran across him last night as we were walking back, and we looked in, and what's the name of that restaurant? Right there.
It was a Shake Shack.
Shake Shack, right?
I don't know if he's on a diet. I don't know. We should have said
Well, he
that.
definitely was not on a diet. We looked in, and there he was, sitting by himself, eating some dinner. We looked over at him and waved at him, and he was like the biggest smile you've ever seen. That smile right there.
He was waving like he was a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
he was
right.
so
He's
happy.
like, "Hi,
and Dad
guys.
just
Hey,
walked
what's
by.
going
He was
on?" Right.
great. Oh, I love him. He's fantastic. Weeders, a leadoff walk here in the second. Weeders, Defoe, and Strasburg. Of course, for Yadi in a baseball sense this year, it's not an easy role to play either. You know, he's a guy terrific defensively, but hasn't gotten many starts, been asked to pinch hit. Not easy to come off the bench, but again, he's handled it with that same smile, and I guess that's where I'm trying to get with that.
Sure. Well, that role is not an easy one to fill. I did my last couple of years in the big leagues. You never know when that run is coming, and I think that's the hardest part of the job.
Defoe out to right for Sierra.
First out here in the second inning. When I mean that run, you're probably going to get 100 to 120 at bat run. You just don't know when it's coming. I mean, if you were going to go to spring training and say, oh, okay, so-and-so is going to get hurt in May, and I'm going to get 30 starts in a row, I would prepare for those 30 starts in May, but you just don't know when it's going to hit you. So you've got to do everything in your power to stay as ready as possible, and when it happens, it happens. Because if you do remember, back in the first half, Yadi had a nice little run of opportunity, and towards the end of that opportunity, was starting to come through with some big hits, but that opportunity dried up a bit.
And O'Brien will apply the tag to Strasburg on the sacrifice bunt attempt, which moves Weeders to second base with 2 outs. In fact, Yadiel Rivera had his first major league home run in this building.
Sure did.
Back in July. Off of tomorrow's starter, Max Scherzer.
Owns him.
That's right.
We were talking about that. We're like, that's going to be one of those moments that you're going to carry with you the rest of your life. You'll be like,
Remember it
"Oh, yeah,
forever."
that guy there going in the Hall of Fame, yeah, that was Scherzer guy.
Yeah.
He's in the book.
Yeah, it took him deep. Man on second, 2 out for Adam Eaton. There's a called strike. A leadoff walk for Weeders. A fly ball to right, a sacrifice bunt for Strasburg. Excuse me, swing and a foul at the plate. 0-2.
There's a little bit of a tell right there for Alcantara. Here's the breaking ball and an awkward swing from Eaton. Certainly unsure of what he saw and what he went to swing at. And the point being that he may want to explore using that a little bit more towards the top of this lineup. Eaton, Turner, Harper, generally speaking, over the last 2 starts have been a thorn in his side.
A walk and a run scored for Eaton back in the first. sound like I'm making excuses for Alcantara because I didn't say it early when I wanted to, but we're setting up the inning and the pitchers and everything else. But when Strasburg's going through a 30-pitch first inning, that extends the time from Alcantara's warm-ups to his first pitch of the night. It almost throws the other pitcher out of a rhythm, too, I would think.
Yeah, it certainly can factor into it a little bit.
Backhanded, knocked down by Anderson, but he'll have no play. A little bit like a hockey goalie, just keeping it in front. And the Nationals have runners on the corners and 2 outs.
That's going to go as a base hit. As awkward as the swing was, that's a changeup away. Eaton, for the most part, just throws his hands at it. Anderson 1 hop just to keep it in front.
Now Trey Turner, strikeout victim back in the first inning. Alcantara trying to keep this at a 2-1 deficit. Marlins have to feel like they've had Strasburg on the ropes these first 2 innings. He's up over 60 pitches already.
5 left on base.
To Rojas at second. And they retire Turner and get out of the jam. 2 innings in the books. 2-1 Nationals. For the Toyota Inside Look, a look here at the 2018 season series between the Marlins and the Nationals. There was that lengthy winless streak for the Marlins against the Nats, but since then, Miami has won 5 of the last 7, outscoring them by 14 runs.
Well, and it's very easy to figure out if you kind of just do a little crisscross here. You see the 74 and 24, that's the difference in the Marlins pitching. They gave up 74 runs in the first 9. In the last 7, they've given up 24. How about a run differential of 50?
I think that'll work.
Yeah, it's some improvement, don't you think?
That'll quiet down a pretty good offense, as you noted here in the second half of the season. Peter O'Brien ahead in the count 1-0. And the dribbler right in front of the mound. It'll be Strasburg with the throw to Zimmerman for the first out. Anderson and Brinson to follow here in the third for Miami.
Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device. Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
.65 pitches through 2 1/3 for Steven Strasburg, but he and the Nationals have a 2-1 lead. It was a 2-run double from Anthony Rendon in the first inning. after Miguel Rojas got the Marlins on the board in the top half with an RBI double of his own. Anderson swings at the first pitch and sends one in the air to right for Eaton. Dealing with the mist, makes the play. Back at you tomorrow, middle game of this 3-game series. Jeff Brigham and Max Scherzer, the two starting pitchers, on the air with the Marlins Live pregame show at 6:30. First pitch a little after 7 here at Nationals Park. Here's Brinson. And a strike. Ground ball over to third in the first inning for Lewis.
Well, it seems Strasburg has come out with a little bit more conviction here in the third inning. Maybe a repurposing of the arsenal. We've seen the fastball and the curveball. None of the change.
One-two pitch from Strasburg is fouled back. Brinson, you saw the 40 RBIs that he's got on the season, 10 of which have come in his last 18 games. So since coming off the disabled list. And 5 go-ahead RBIs in that span as well, including the last couple of games.
That's right. Last couple of Marlins wins, he has given the Marlins the lead.
That'll be a 3-2 count to Brinson.
Some frustration there with Strasburg on the changeup, no doubt about it. It's been very inconsistent for him tonight. And the quantity has been there, but the results have not, at least comparing this start to his last.
3-2 on the way.
Same pitch, same spot, same reaction. Freddie over there, third base. There's Freddie. Strasburg keeps wanting to go after Brinson's hands with that changeup. He keeps pulling it foul.
Ripped. And it actually takes Defoe into shallow center field. He sticks with it and gets Brinson by a step at first. That was a screamer, but right at Defoe. Makes a nice play to end things in the third. 2-1. Capital. A 2-1 Nationals lead heading to the bottom of the third. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Fortunately, the mist has, when it gets heavy, again, they're kind of like small raindrops, so it's not too bad. It's picked up a little bit, but it's never really been much more than a heavy mist as we move to the bottom of the third. Bryce Harper, Anthony Rendon, Juan Soto to bat. A Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Most walks in Nationals franchise history. 581 for Bryce Harper. No walk here. Instead, a ground ball to Rojas. 4 out number 1.
What I think is impressive about that list is that Harper's done it in about half the time of everybody else on that list.
That's right. So Tim Wallach on the list. Just passed 70 walks or so ago.
Now Harper, a career high 126 walks this season.
He is the only National, by the way, in terms of walks, that is over 75. Juan Soto has 74 walks. Anthony Rendon has a 2 RBI double. He takes 96 upstairs. 1-0. Last time we saw the Nationals, Rendon had 99 career home runs. But he now has 100. Hit one against the Mets. And with yet another hit tonight, what's kind of amazing, we talked about the on-base streak for Rendon, and I suppose it only makes sense, but only 4 hitless games in his last 30. Two and 2 from Alcantara. To the backstop, still 2 and 2. Of course, I had to say something, so now it's getting a little heavy.
Yeah, I haven't noticed.
One thing I've noticed all season long is people don't like when I tell what the conditions are. I try to paint the picture, and people say stop talking about the weather.
Well, the reason I haven't noticed is just because I'm dry and you're not.
Yeah, good for you. This one out to Rojas.
All right.
How's that window working out for you, pal? Good?
It's great, fantastic. I've got no problems. Is it raining?
Yeah.
Enjoy an experience that goes beyond baseball with Marlins Group membership. With new group leader benefits and priority access to fan experiences, the 2019 season will be one to remember. Place a deposit before September 29th to attend member batting practice. Visit marlinsenrollment.com.
There's Jessica Blaylock under her, what kind of flowers are those, I wonder? Begonias? Tulips?
I'm telling you right now, it's sunny where I'm sitting.
Yeah. Jessica's a trooper. She's getting the direct rain. I'm just kind of getting the windy mist. Hi there.
Yeah, the rain is coming down a little bit harder.
Yeah.
The no rain / rain.
Yeah, you were right on top of that one. Juan Soto on top of that as he sends one the other way down the left field line. A big turnaround first, but a 2-out single for the rookie. Yeah, hang in there, Jess. We're getting there.
Well, no surprise there. Soto goes the other way for a base hit. I thought it was very interesting. He had not been held hitless in 3 consecutive games all season long, and he came into tonight's ball game currently at 2. See that head down, able to go the other way.
An advanced feel for hitting for the youngster Soto. As Ryan Zimmerman steps up, a ground ball to short his first trip. Ball and no strikes to Zimmerman. There's a strike, top of the zone, right on the corner. "12 games around baseball tonight." Kind of a heavy schedule for a Monday. Of course, it's the last regular season Monday of the season. Inside, 3-1.
Still a few intriguing matchups around the game. Dodgers playing the Diamondbacks out west. Keeping an eye on that Baltimore-Boston game.
The clinching scenario? Oh, you're looking at the other angle. I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, no, I could care less who's going to. Yeah, they're going to clinch, whatever. Baltimore's 59.5 games behind the Boston Red Sox in the American League East. That is absolutely amazing to me. 59.5 games, and as you see, 4-0 Boston in the third. No surprise, I suppose.
No. Now, what I was referring to, as there are 2 on and 2 out here in the third, is the Red Sox can clinch the top seed in the AL tonight with a win over the Orioles.
Oh, yeah, okay, whatever.
Or an Astros loss to the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Baltimore, 59.5, buddy. Clinch.
They've already clinched, that is, the #1 draft pick the Baltimore Orioles have.
Well, I'll tell you what. They plan on celebrating. I advise being careful. I'm sure you've heard what happened to Didi Gregorius in the New York Yankees.
Let's slide it home.
Sounds like he may miss some time. Cartilage damage, I believe, in his wrist.
Yep. His right wrist kind of got caught up in the dirt on the headfirst slide the other night when the Yankees won on a walk-off and secured their spot in the postseason. Seeding to be determined in terms of the wild card. Wieters swings and misses, a ball and 2 strikes.
And there's the breaking ball once again. It's a good pitch. Lefties have not been able to do anything with it. Haven't seen a whole lot of it, though.
Two and two. Two-two pitch in the dirt. And that will give the runners, Soto and Zimmerman, a head start.
Tell you what, both the Nationals and the Marlins, the hitters tonight, have been able to defend the strike zone. Neither guy has been particularly sharp, but when pitches have been made, pitchers' pitches, the hitters have been able to at least get a piece or foul off a number of these pitches. This game is being played at a snail's pace currently.
Yeah, it's about 8:21 local time here, and I feel like the last few nights against the Reds, an hour and 20 minutes into the game, creeping up on the sixth, seventh inning. Yeah, played a game in 2:22 the other night. Was that Friday? It's a second, and Soto's back. Heck, even that extra inning game was
fast.
It was 2 hours and 30 minutes. No, I lied. 2 hours and 36 minutes. Leaders walks, and the bases are loaded. 2 outs for Defoe as the pitching coach Juan Nieves is out to the mound. Back-to-back walks and 4 in the game for Alcantara. Now, both pitchers are pitching in these conditions, so from a game standpoint, you're certainly not making any excuses for the performance. But in terms of evaluating how Alcantara is, and that's kind of where we're at in these last few weeks and few starts of the season. What can you evaluate in a start like this where the conditions are not great?
Well, I mean, you look for the improvement that you'd like to see him make. I mean, in these conditions, I talked about it, you need to be aggressive. You need to be aggressive not only for yourself, but for your defense that's standing around in this weather as well. And I think what you saw in that first inning might have scared him out of that strike zone just a little bit. The Harper double got himself in a little bit of trouble, hung a changeup, and next thing you know, he's kind of going back to what we've seen, the few starts this season where he is nibbling on those corners with his fastball and watching it run off out of the strike zone. In that situation right there with Wieters, you're thinking, listen, Wieters got 28 RBIs on the season. He is not your, the number one threat in your lineup. You've got 2 outs. You want to see yourself be aggressive right there. Get a ball on the ground, get an out, throw a strike. Didn't happen.
Low to Defoe, 2 balls and no strikes. 13 balls and 11 strikes this inning for Alcantara. And again, just like Wieters, who has been cold as of late, Defoe with a fly ball in the first inning, now 4 for his last 35. To O'Brien, the flip, and the inning is over. Lots of base runners stranded by both teams in the first 3 innings. All a 2-1 Marlins deficit here in D.C. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, for Steven Strasburg, as a kid, his favorite player wasn't a pitcher. It was a hitter, and a phenomenal one at that. Strasburg absolutely loved Tony Gwynn. In fact, for one birthday in particular, he got a Tony Gwynn poster that Padres had, even Padres wristbands. Well, how cool is this? Years later, the two would become very close. Tony Gwynn was his baseball coach at San Diego State. They developed a father-son-like relationship. Guy Strasburg even spoke at Tony Gwynn's funeral.
Yeah, it's a thank you, Jessica. Terrific kind of connection there between those two guys, and being able to look up to somebody and then play for them and have that connection throughout a baseball career. Pretty special.
You could not pick a greater role model than Tony Gwynn. I've spoken on him a number of times over the last couple of seasons. That's just from a rival team perspective. Always there. I think coaching was in his blood. Gwynn, fantastic human being, always had time for anybody.
Austin Dean awaits a 1-0 pitch and takes a strike. Dean Sierra Alcantara, bottom third of the Marlins order, down a run here in the fourth. The rain and the wind have been steady throughout this ball game, but fortunately we did start on time. There was some concern leading up to this series that these 3 days might be a little iffy in terms of the weather. The last homestand for the Nationals.
Potentially the last series for Harper. Very well may be the #1 reason why you're watching this game being played in these conditions. There's certainly all sorts of speculation. Harper putting together a very strong season when it enter into free agency. So if this is his last days in a Nationals uniform, these last 3 are going to be here at home. These 3 here.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
And to your point, Bryce Harper able to beat the heat that he was feeling from the media after that rough first half in terms of the batting average, and really bounce back in the second half, and tough to say salvage his season, but at least salvage his batting average, which has been much better in the second half.
Well, I don't know if it really sets up, and I know you and I have had this conversation on Harper a number of times, as far as what free agency will do for him and the contract that he's looking for, and what team is actually going to provide that lifetime contract that I think he is probably looking for, and I think I understand why he's looking for it.
Lined and caught by a leaping Defoe. One away.
Let's take another look. Here, a good swing. A hutback liner. Not enough air under it. Get over Defoe. Off the ground pretty high. Nice catch.
Not bad for a guy who's 5'11". Alcantara, a little taller than 5'11", steps in. 1 on and 1 out. Was up with 2 on back in the second inning. Tried to bunt the runners into scoring position, both of them, but instead popped up the bunt right to Strasburg, who made the play. Marlins did not score in that inning. They scored in the first on a Miggy Rojas RBI double. Strike, 1 and 1. Marlins left 2 on in the first, 3 on in the second. Went down 1-2-3 in the third. We got the leadoff walk here in the 4th inning. So the leadoff man has been on 3 of the 4 innings against Strasburg, but just the 1 run on the board to show for it. Bunts it foul, 2-2. I've often wondered, Holly, why does a hitter dry the bat around the barrel? Not
so
the handle, but
so
the
the
barrel.
ball doesn't skid off the barrel. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's why we do it.
Bunted foul, and that's a strikeout. 2 away.
You're absolutely right. I've always wondered it myself, but yet I found myself doing it numbers of times in the box. I know there's just something to, that idea that squaring up a baseball, I don't need it sliding off the bat, you know what I mean? Going foul. Probably has nothing to do with it, but that's why you do it.
So when you foul one off, and then sometimes you'll smell the bat. Is there a smell, like a burning
sometimes
smell?
usually if you foul it straight back, yeah, you can burn the wood a little bit. Yeah, that happens.
So
Not
then
every time.
Maybe there is something to the friction thing.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, we're talking about a curved object, basically a cylinder in a round baseball.
Orb.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, could be the weight of it too.
Yeah, you can always just assume that the handle's going to stay dry because you're holding it the whole time. You're not going to let go of it. It's not going to get wet that way, but the barrel gets a little bit wet. Tools of the trade, man.
I just asked because a lot of my tools of the trade are getting wet up here. Yours are
Dry.
nice and dry. You've kind of got the window blocking your stuff from getting wet, and so there's like a little window right there for the big guy, and it's kind of blocking the mist that's coming in. Throw down to second, gets into center field, and Dean's on his way to third.
Center.
And the long throw in from Harper, but 2 bases on the stolen base attempt for Dean.
Well, you do wonder who might try to take advantage of the elements. Why not? Dean certainly does. It's a good jump. How about that? About 4 or 5 steps. Now Wieder's throw, check this out. Yeah, no shot. I don't know if he had a good grip or not, but really, Turner no chance of making the play. I was kind of rooting for Dean to hustle around third base. See if he can't score there with 2 outs.
Stolen base and an E2, and the tying run is 90 feet away. See if Riddle can come up with a 2-strike, 2-out hit.
We're so high up here, it's almost snowing.
That's right. Look at that.
You can't even see me waving anymore. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's about a quarter of a mile up here. Bounces away from Wieters, but not far enough for Dean to come home. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I do find it funny that this is always my seat in every booth. I sit in the exact same spot,
right,
but
yes.
I have to laugh just because of the way your week has been going with your back and everything else that you've been kind of dealing with.
I got a little back issue right there.
That's right.
It's just kind of sore. I'm not flexible like I used to be.
How I ended up sitting here, you are in a driving rain now.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, this week my life has been under one cloud. One black cloud all week. That's kind of how it's going.
It's like I'm sitting here and I can see the rain coming across because the glass is still here. It's just passing me by, and your laptop's all wet here.
Yeah.
This is all wet in here.
Keep chuckling, big guy. Hilarious.
The wet stops like right there. It's toasty over here too,
I'm done with you. Going over here. Oh, it's even wetter over there.
That's right. That's where the rain's going. Oh, nice at bat by JT Riddle. On base for the second time tonight. And sticking with the theme of tonight, Strasburg now at 93 pitches. We're in the top of the 4th.
And that is 4 walks, 38 pitches in the first inning, 25 in the second, and now he's out there talking with the home plate umpire, Angel Hernandez.
They're going to bring the grounds crew out. Diamond dry now.
They're going to work on the footing, and the folks here at Nationals Park, a little bit of a cheer as they're putting up on the big board that fans that are here dealing with the weather conditions can move down to the lower seating bowl.
It's awesome. That's where all the rain's falling.
That's right. It's all funneling down there.
That's right. Get a better seat, better view, but get wet.
All right, so this is why the grounds crew is out there. It's that landing spot for Strasburg. Watch his left foot.
Yeah, slides just enough to throw him off. You can see he's uncomfortable. And all it takes is an inch or two.
And we've seen him. He's been going to that the cleat cleaner that he's working on right now, right behind the mound, for most of the night. As there is action in the bullpen for the Nationals.
It certainly makes some sense. I mean, regardless, his pitch count's at 93 here in the fourth.
Austin Williams is up in the pen. Strasburg will get a chance to throw a warm-up toss or two.
And Strasburg's spot up first in the bottom of the fourth.
Thing is, it's not like football. Like sometimes there's different length of cleats depending on the grass or the conditions. You can lengthen your spikes or your spikes.
Yeah, you can't change them.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you can change your shoes, but you can't change the spikes.
Allow
the football players
dig
do,
into
right?
the dirt a little bit more. So runners on first and third, 2 outs here in the fourth inning. See if the footing is any better for Steven Strasburg against Miguel Rojas, who has reached base twice, an RBI double in the first and a walk in his second trip. Takes outside, 1-0.
Well, he's had the best at bats against Strasburg tonight. Walking the second, as you mentioned, that RBI double. Great swing of the bat, jumped all over a fastball and hit it up against the wall in left center field. And Rojas has good career numbers against him as well.
Well, Strasburg is extremely uncomfortable with his footing. I mean, he just went to that mat, stepped on the rubber. Wieters came out to give the signs, and he went back to clean his spikes out again. Rojas fouls one off, 1-1.
It'll be interesting to see how he feels if Rojas gets a hit right here.
Now the bat boy is going to come out and give him the tongue depressor to get some of the gunk out. Now that didn't work. He tried it for a split second and then flung it.
It's because that's for your tongue, not for your shoes.
Watch this. Look at this. Yeah. Okay, this stinks. Trying to cut a steak with a plastic knife.
You want to know why the mud won't come out of his spikes? Is because they just put new mud down. He asked for it. I mean, I don't know what he's complaining about now. I mean, in all honesty, got the grounds crew out to fix the hole. I get that, but it's been an incredibly engaging game. 2-1 here in the top of the fourth.
That's one word for it. Fouled away. So engaging. We're coming back tomorrow for more. South Florida Honda dealers present the Marlins Live pregame show at 6:30. Jeff Brigham, Max Scherzer on an email Twitter Tuesday. The last one in 2018. And with Mad Max on the mound, battling it out with the likes of Aaron Nola and Jacob deGrom. Maybe a little Cy Young chat tomorrow.
Well, I think there's a number there that may help the cause. I'm not sure that there's enough going. I really do think that there's a lot of momentum with DeGrom and the ERA and the separation, because there's now a big gap between the 2.57. I think it was in that 1.7 range.
Yeah.
DeGrom, without looking. Oh, my. Oh,
Safe.
He got back.
How did Riddle get back? Like a swim move, but it looked like he might have stuck in the dirt himself. And Dave Martinez and the Nationals are going to think about taking a look at it.
Yeah.
Picked by Wieters first.
Yeah, right. The backhand, and you think that you see the swipe tag from Zimmerman, who couldn't see it. It's a bit of a blind tag. Watch the tag. JT pulls it back, doesn't get him. Sure did. Got back into first base. Nice job. He's already touching first base. He's safe. He is safe.
Well, the Nationals are not going to challenge.
You know, when you make a play like that, you wish it would be worth more than what just not getting picked off. You know what I mean?
Right. Like an extra base.
Well, or a run, or
Yeah.
Something. It's a great move.
Pitch number 100 from Strasburg. Into shallow right. Defoe's back to make the catch. 100 pitches to get through 4. Marlins down 2-1. Miami Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic. Trust the #1 hospital in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, with your care. And by La Lechonera, the original mojo since 1970. The rain continues to fall. Oh, look at that. You've got an assistant, Jessica. How about that?
Hey, there are a lot of reasons that we all refer to Martin Prado as our captain, and this is one of them. He saw me struggling with my microphone, my scorecard, and he volunteered to come over and hold my umbrella for me.
Nice.
What a guy. What a guy. Thank you, Martin.
Give him a couple of bucks and
Teamwork,
send him
exactly.
on his way.
Teamwork.
Thank you, Jessica. And most importantly, thank you, Martin.
Martin's clearly getting paid.
That's it. He's done.
He's like, I'm walking
I'm
off.
out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
You didn't offer me enough.
Andrew Stevenson pinch hitting for Steven Strasburg, who threw 100 pitches, 59 for strikes in his 4 innings of work. Still 0-2 to Stevenson. So now we'll see what Alcantara can do. He has been in a similar situation as Strasburg in terms of the conditions and the traffic on the bases. He has stranded 6 Nats through 3 innings of work. But it was Rendon's 2 RBI double back in the first that turned a 1-0 lead into a 2-1 deficit. 65 pitches This one is rolled up the third base line, foul. That's it for Strasburg. And Justin Miller loosening to pitch the fifth. 4 innings, 3 hits, a run, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Time for the Toyota trend. The last 8 games for the Marlins starting pitchers, they have been fantastic. 3-2 with a 2.27 ERA. And Stevenson sends one in the air toward left center field. It will be Dean to make the catch, and that's the first out here in the 4th.
Well, the 2.27 ERA, Paul, 4th best in Major League Baseball. Listen, it's the way the Marlins have won almost all season long. Yes, there have been a few moments where there has been some consistent offensive uprisings, but let's be honest. I mean, the starting pitching, the good bullpen, the majority of the Marlins wins this year have been the, pitching type of game, low scoring, 1-run, 2-run ball games. When they pitch, they win a lot more.
They do. Ball and no strikes to Adam Eaton. 5 runs allowed in the 4-game series to the Reds, including 2 shutouts. And those 5 runs in a 4-game series tied a franchise record. Did that a few years ago against the Cincinnati Reds. Eaton's reached twice and scored once. A walk and a single.
Good to see him go back to the breaking ball. He took a couple of half swings at the breaking ball his last at bat. Turned that into an infield single.
Outside, 2-2. That one is yanked foul. The Milwaukee Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals are going head-to-head. It's a 1-0 Brewers lead right now. Ryan Braun with his 16th home run of the season. Of course, those two teams right now holding the 2 wild card spots in the National League. Milwaukee up 2 on St. Louis to host the wild card game in a little over a week. We've got the Colorado Rockies a game and a half behind St. Louis. The Rockies also a game and a half behind the Dodgers for the National League West. As Eaton walks.
Well, Eaton on for the 3rd time tonight.
Trey Turner a strikeout and a ground out. He takes a called strike. So in terms of the National League playoff picture, the Braves have clinched the East. The Cubs 2.5 up on the Brewers right now. The Cubs are trailing the Pirates. So if those scores hold, and it's early in both games, the 2nd and the 3rd inning. If those scores hold, now it's a game and a half in that division. So for all the lack of drama in the American League, just one spot left to be filled, and that should be the A's in rather short order as Turner rips one down the third base line and toward the corner. Dean gets to it, and they will hold Eaton at third. The hit streak continues for Trey Turner.
Now with 1 out, they have to decide to hold their runners at 2nd and 3rd. Now this ball, look at the spray coming off the baseball as it hits the outfield grass. I mean, it really slows down. Eaton is moving around pretty quickly. It looks like it's still in pretty good shape. Dean able to get it in. Ball definitely slowed down by the wet turf.
So that'll bring up Harper. A double and a run scored in the first. He bats with 2 in scoring position here in the 4th inning. To left field for Dean. Eaton tags. And he'll score a sac fly for Harper and a 3-1 lead for Washington.
Well, you see a lot of congratulations being handed out to Bryce Harper. Just got his first 100 RBI season of his career. Drove in 99 a few years ago, had been sitting on 99, had an RBI double yesterday. It's kind of hard to believe, I think, for most of us, right? It is impactful as he has been throughout his career here with the Nationals, that this is his first 100 RBI season.
He was at 99 in 2015 when he won the MVP. And now Rendon with a high fly ball deep down the left field line, and that one is gone. I'd call it a rainmaker, but it was already raining.
Yeah. Now, this ball was not about exit velocity. This more about catching a pitch out in front. Maybe even throwing a little launch angle. Don't go there too often. You saw the finish from Rendon. Top end off the bat. This is now a 5-1 ball game. Changeup out in front. Plenty of airtime. The second home run Alcantara has given up this season.
Career home run number 101 for Anthony Rendon. Now Juan Soto swings and sends one toward left center field, and that one is gone. Back-to-back home runs for the Nats.
I think it's fair to say Juan Soto is back after a 2-for-23, a slump by definition. A multi-hit game tonight, both of his hits going the other way. Got a pretty swing and is certainly not prone to long, lengthy slumps, and he appears to be out of it.
Another RBI for him. So he breaks a tie with Mickey Mantle, moves into sole possession of 5th most RBIs as a teenager. We go back to 1900. What a year it's been for Juan Soto. A strike to Ryan Zimmerman.
Just looking at Juan Soto's month-by-month breakdown. Obviously in the big leagues, got called up in May, so I'll exclude May, but June, July, August, and September. Home run and RBI totals. June, 6 homers, 15 RBIs. July, 5 homers, 15 RBIs. August, 3 homers, 14 RBIs. And here in September now, 5 homers and 16 RBIs. I mean, about as consistent as any rookie I've seen.
It was his 21st home run, one shy of Bryce Harper. Second on the list for teenagers. For baseball, we're just talking about that National League wild card and the 1-0 lead for the Brewers. There's the home run, a long homer for Ryan Braun. That gave the Brewers a 1-0 lead. That's where things stand right now. This team's separated by a couple of games in the wild card.
Yeah, 16th home run of the season for Ryan Braun. The impact not nearly the same as it was a few seasons ago, but still hit a baseball a long, long way. They're coming up with big hits. Big series.
Sure is, especially with the Rockies kind of breathing down the necks of both the Dodgers in the West and the Cardinals in the wild card. Mark Reynolds into the ball game at first base. A double switch for the Nationals as Justin Miller comes in. Steven Strasburg done after 4. Game number 50 for the righty Miller. He'll face Real Muto, O'Brien, and Anderson here in the 5th. Couple of strikeouts against Strasburg tonight for JT. And Miller knocks it down, gets to it, and in and out of the glove of Reynolds, and then kicked by Real Muto. Imagine they might score that one in E3.
Yeah, it was a bizarre play. It actually popped the glove of Reynolds at first base. Everything about this play was, I mean, of course, the conditions considering. He made the catch. Oh, no, he did right off the end of the glove. Certainly sounded like he made the catch. Snow coned it.
So JT aboard to start the 5th. Marlins find themselves down by 5 after a 4-run 4th for the Nationals. O'Brien a big swing and a miss. Tipped it off of Wieters.
Well, for Miller, fastball slider. He's pitching more games against the Marlins than any National. This is his 11th game this season. 5.63 ERA.
Wieters needs an equipment fix. Not sure if he's might have that visor in there, and maybe that came loose. Not sure. He's got a new one. All right. Time for Geico, and this day in Marlins history back in 2011, a 12-1 win. 14 Marlins got hits, all 9 starters, 21 hits total, 17 singles. Sounds a little like a game here in D.C. a couple of months ago.
It sure does.
5 players had 3 hits in that ball game. On this day in 2011.
Well, O'Brien 0 for 2 tonight. Brought it back to the mound, struck out his first time up.
There's a base hit into left field. On his way to third is Real Muto. A big turnaround first. But O'Brien with the knock, and the Marlins in business in the 5th.
Good swing by O'Brien. Got a breaking ball he can handle. Inner third, 85 miles an hour and up. Rips it into left. We told you about the wet conditions. Soto coming around the ball. Thinking about getting JT at third base. Just getting the ball back into the infield with the big lead for the Nationals.
Now it's Brian Anderson, hit by a pitch and flew out tonight. There's a strike. No shortage of base runners for the Marlins. They have left 7 runners on base in the first 4 innings and have 2 more on to start this 5th. fact, they've had the leadoff man on in 4 of the 5 innings. So got to figure out a way to get that big hit. Oh for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. 9 of 28 in these situations against the Reds in that 4-game series. 1-2 to Anderson.
Some pretty impressive numbers. Runners in scoring position for Brian Anderson this year. I think back to the beginning of the season, and he was hitting well above 400. Looking middle away.
He snapped an 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position on Saturday night. Chance here to cut into a 5-run deficit in the middle innings. Into center field, a base hit. An RBI single for Anderson closes the gap to 6-2.
Now good swing. It's a fastball right down the middle of the plate. Miller didn't get that where he wanted. Brian Anderson ready to jump all over it. Anderson on for the 2nd time tonight as well. Had to feel good. Get a little rhythm going, playing off of a 3-hit day yesterday.
Maybe the hit's going to come in bunches this last week for Anderson. Finish off what has been a phenomenal rookie season on a high note. Headed in that direction the last few games. Brinson takes outside, 1-0. More action in the Nats bullpen as Matt Grace is up and throwing.
That's playing Brinson straight up in the outfield.
O'Brien at second, Anderson at first. A run home in the inning. Called strike 3.
No messing around for Miller. No slider, no ball in the dirt. Just went right at him. 95. Outer third and up. Brinson knew it.
So now it's Austin Dean. He's reached twice. Single in the 2nd. Walked in the 4th. Also had his first career stolen base back in the 4th inning. 2 balls and no strikes to Dean upstairs, 3-0. Sierra waits on deck. And now Wieters back to the dugout with another mechanical issue. That's twice this inning.
Well, the pace has not been good to begin with. I mean, really? Seems like it's
like playing 4.5 innings in 2 hours.
Well, it is what it is.
Ball 4, they are loaded. And the tying run will come to the plate. There's a strike to Sierra. He walked in the second, lined out in the fourth. Rafael Ortega into the on-deck circle. That would be the pitcher spot, Alcantara. Let's see what Sierra can do first. Bases loaded and 1 out. Rendon in on the grass at third. 0-2. So Javi Guerra up earlier, continues to throw in the Marlins bullpen. No 2 pitch. Called strike 3. Second strikeout of the inning for Miller.
Well, again, no real messing around from Miller. Right at him. This fastball low and away on the outside edge. Certainly catches enough of the plate.
So Alcantara finished as Rafael Ortega will bat here with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 5th. Takes the ball. The conditions weren't perfect for Alcantara tonight. So he finishes the game with 5 walks and 3 strikeouts. The 1-1 pitch on the ground right side. Defoe. And the Marlins leave the bases loaded in the 5th inning. 6-2 after 4.5.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. 2 home runs from the Nationals. Rendon, 102 miles an hour off the bat. You saw the launch angle. Soto, 400 feet. My goodness. 108 miles an hour. That was a long line drive off the bat of Soto. He's got as much power to left and left center as he does to right.
Marlins fans sitting through the rain here in D.C. watching Javi Guerra in his 31st game. A strike to Matt Wieters.
Well, he's used to the rain, just not hours of it.
Right. And it's usually not this light. This is more of a nagging rain than a South Florida pouring rain for 20 minutes or a half an hour. Well, 3 more left on base for the Marlins. They have stranded 10 in the first 5 innings. Wieters, Defoe, and Reynolds for the Nationals here in the 5th.
Guerra last pitched in the D.C. series at Marlins Park September 18th. Got 4 outs, gave up a hit, no earned runs.
Fouled away, still a ball and 2 strikes. So in the American League, when it comes to some of the clinching scenarios, the A's can clinch a postseason berth tonight with a win over the Mariners or a Rays loss to the Yankees. And the Rays are currently trailing the Yankees 3-1 in the top of the 7th inning at the Trop. The Astros can clinch the AL West tomorrow. They've got to beat the Blue Jays today and tomorrow, and have the A's lose to the Mariners today or tomorrow, or hold that thought. Deep left, Dean back, gone. A home run for Wieters.
Well, the Nationals know this ballpark as well as anybody, and there's no doubt that the wind that is blowing this rain across the field has been blowing out to left. The Rendon home run, and certainly this Wieters home run, will tell you that. You get it up high enough, the wind will blow it right out of here. Nationals up 7-2. Elevated fastball, outer third. Wieters thinks he has enough, and just enough he had.
And now Defoe out to center for Brinson. That's the first out of the 5th.
Let's have a look at the swing from Wieters. Certainly some hang time.
Three home runs in the span of 4 batters for the Nationals. The 2-run home run by Rendon, back-to-back shot by Soto. The strikeout to end the inning of Zimmerman. And the home run to lead it off here in the 5th by Wieters. Reynolds, a big swing and a miss, 0-2.
The Nationals offense certainly has been explosive, particularly in the second half, up and down the lineup. I told you about hitting streaks and on-base streaks and RBIs and all sorts of things going on. And once again, you see it here in tonight's ball game. Kind of lying quiet for a little while, and all of a sudden, just when they erupt, it is almost always collective. Third time through the lineup. 3 homers and a double.
Ball and 2 strikes to Reynolds. That one a little wide, 2-2. Cardinals have tied things up, believe it or not. Matt Carpenter with a double. His 41st of the season. As Reynolds is retired for the second out in the inning. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Justin Twine at Jupiter and Jacksonville. .290 with 7 homers and 52 RBIs. Had hits in 28 of his last 30 games. The second round draft pick in 2014 by the Marlins.
Yeah, good to see he finished strong. Hits in 28 of his last 30.
Breaking ball strike to Eaton. Couple of walks, couple of runs scored after those walks, and a single in the second. Dodgers get the Diamondbacks tonight at 9:40. That first pitch in about 20 minutes from now. At this rate, they may finish before us. There's a 1-2 pitch. Fouled away. I mean, the conditions are terrible. Garrett's squinting just to see the signs.
Yeah. And you knew that once they started in this, there was a good chance that it's going to keep up all game long.
Swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts to end it. A run in on the Wieters home run. We'll check in with the studio after the break. Craigers, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Yes, time-lapse video right there. It's not that windy here in D.C., but a 7-2 deficit nonetheless. Teams exchanging single runs in the 5th inning. Getting ready for Halloween, maybe.
A little early.
Yeah. Matt Grace in his 55th game, third pitcher of the night for the Nationals, will face Riddle, Rojas, and Real Muto.
Grace has been on a pretty good run of late. Two-seam fastball, slider. Last 14 games, sub-2 ERA. Having a very nice season. 1.15 whip.
Little high to JT, who singled and scored in the first, struck out in the second, walked in the fourth. Those 3 plate appearances all against Steven Strasburg, who lasted the first 4 innings. Back to the mound. 1 away. Four innings, 3 hits, a run for Strasburg, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So the 2 starting pitchers combining for 9 walks. I think some of that has to do with the conditions here.
That definitely wasn't a crisp 9 walks.
No. Although I would love to see what a crisp 9 walks looks like. Well, 9 intentional walks maybe. You don't even throw a pitch. That's crisp.
I guess what I'm getting at is that, you kind of had the sense that this was going to be a slow game with the conditions, but I felt like both starters were making it slower. I know that they were uncomfortable. I know that there were a lot of balls that were fouled off, but at the same time, it kind of started to play in both directions. Maybe it was just a combination of things. The rain, the weather, and the fact that both starters were going up against, the opposing team for the second time.
Right about now is as light or non-existent as the rain has been for the majority of this game, which is approaching 2.5 hours at this point. Hasn't disappeared completely, but a lot better than it's been. I mean, that doesn't really help my case, but grounded foul. Making an RBI double tonight. Back in the first inning, got the Marlins on the board. Just the second batter into the ball game. Walked in the second, and popped out in the fourth. Three and two. And Miggy getting the start at second base tonight. Starlin Castro left the ballpark right before the start of the game. Headed back home to Florida to be with his wife, who went into labor. So, again, our best wishes along to the Castro family. Miggy out to right for Eaton, heading toward the line. Almost overran it, but makes the catch. 2 away.
Starting in week 4, Fox will be the new network home of Thursday night football, and the schedule we have is loaded with one huge matchup after another. It's Thursday night football coming to Fox in week number 4. Now it's a game.
Starts with Vikings-Rams on Thursday. Rams are 3-0. High-powered offense. JT out to right. Eaton makes the catch. So 1, 2, 3, 6. We head to the home half with the Marlins down 5. The Nationals with a 7-2 lead at this point. Again, rain has been coming down for most of the night, so the grounds crew conferring with the umpiring crew and the crew chief Bill Miller taking a look at an app on a phone and see what's going on with the weather and the radar, whether or not there's a window or a blob. Those are the two technical terms that we like to use in this business. Window, you play. Blob, you tarp. It's pretty much how it works. And boom, you're a meteorologist. First pitch swinging for Trey Turner. Cue shot to first. One pitch, one out.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
Javi Guerra, his second inning of work. Came in after 4 innings from Sandy Alcantara. 7 hits and 5 walks, leading to 6 runs. Now for Bryce Harper, a double, a sac fly, and on that sac fly drove in run number 100 for him this season. But there's still a little bit of unfinished business. Knocked down by Rojas. So he is at 90. He scored a run in the first inning, so he's at 99 runs. He's already got the 100 RBIs, so he could become just the 6th player since 2014 with 100 of each in a single season.
Well, it would be the 2nd time in his career that he would have scored 100 runs. I believe a couple seasons ago he scored 115. It's a big number.
But tonight, the first time that he has reached the 100 RBI plateau.
Speaking of finishing strong, Anthony Rendon is doing just that. Continues to hit. Extended his on-base streak to 32 games. Longest active streak in the big leagues.
To O'Brien. And a quick 1-2-3 6th inning for Javi Guerra. Marlins trail it by 5. Our thanks to Martin Prado. Really tying a bow on this whole thing for us, keeping us in check throughout the day. We appreciate his hard work down there in the camera well. I'm sure Jessica's down there too, doing whatever she does during these games. As Peter O'Brien will lead things off. Brian Anderson and Lewis Brinson here against Matt Grace. the fourth pitcher of the night for the Nationals. O'Brien a strikeout, a ground out, and a single in his last trip. Marlins have 5 hits, but they have left 10 runners on base.
There's been a few missed opportunities. Get back in this one, they're going to have to get a few more guys on base.
They left 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth.
Fooled by the breaking ball. That's a good look at Grace's slider.
Ripping fair down the left field line and toward the corner. Going to be another extra base hit for Peter O'Brien. A leadoff double in the 7th.
Yeah, one base runner at a time. Good swing here with 2 strikes. Gonna get a fastball in, pulls those hands in and rips it down into the left field corner. Nice swing from Peter O'Brien. Good start to this 7th inning.
And another leadoff base runner. The first, the second, the fourth, the 5th, and now the 7th. And another man in scoring position for Brian Anderson, who had a base hit that drove in a run his last time up. Not a 2-0 pitch of his liking. 2-1. Two. O'Brien off a second after the leadoff double. Here's the pitch. Up the middle. Defoe makes the play over to first. Anderson is retired, but O'Brien up 90 feet to third.
Next season, Marlins Park will be the go-to destination for a first-class entertainment experience. It all starts with a reimagined club experience, a fan-centric section, and an all-new Miami-themed weekend lineup of entertainment. For more information, visit marlins.com/ballpark enhancements.
That guy will be there. Will you?
Should be.
I just added to the
drama.
Yeah. Brinson to first. Reynolds makes the play. An RBI ground out for Brinson, and the Marlins tack on one more and close the gap to 4. So a leadoff base runner comes around to score. They've had their chances. Now there are 2 outs for Austin Dean. He's reached base all 3 times. A single in the second and a couple of walks.
Come on, Mackay,
about that? See, Billy the Marlin doesn't need the slicker. You know, he doesn't need the galoshes.
Well, he's a Marlin, for crying out loud.
Well, that, and we have the dome.
But he's a Marlin.
Yeah, I get it. He's a Marlin. And he's
doesn't want to get his feathers wet.
Screech is an eagle. What do eagles go inside when it rains?
They go to the tree.
Under the leaves. In the nest.
Doesn't want to get his feather. He's out in the rain right now.
Right. By the way, did you see the new Flyers mascot?
Nope.
Wow. Don't look at it before bed.
Scary.
You'll have nightmares. Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know, honestly, what it is. It's like an orange monster. It's
an attempt to scare the opposition.
And every kid who's a Flyers fan, apparently. But that's just my take. I could be wrong. 7th inning stretch here in D.C. Marlins get one back and trail it by 4. Thank you, guys. A 7-3 deficit heading to the last of the 7th inning. So, Screech taking some selfies with the fans that have stuck around. Well, here's a look.
Oh, my.
That's Gritty, the new Flyers mascot. Sleep tight. Oh, man.
He looks like Animal from the Muppets.
Wow. I mean, I know, hockey, tough, you fight, you're bleeding, you play through
the
pain.
Eyes. Honestly, it's the eyes that are what get you. Stare deep into those eyes. They're baby blue.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
No chance?
That's freaky. That's freaky. That you want my guess? My hot take? That thing gets changed in 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. They'll figure out a way. I don't know what they'll do. Those eyes that are bugging out of his head. See, that's like a friendly mascot. I mean, the talons might freak you out a little bit, but at least he's not like staring through your soul, like Gritty.
Dark, huh?
Okay. That's not for me, pal.
Well, apparently Santa Claus.
That's not for Reno.
Santa Claus isn't for Philly either.
Not for Reno. This one ripped foul down the right field line. A home run for Juan Soto earlier tonight. The Nationals have hit 3 of them. Rendon, Soto, and Wieters. Javi Guerra into his 3rd inning of work. Soto with a drive out to medium center field. Brinson will make the play, and there's one away. So with this 2 1/3 for Javi Guerra, that's his longest outing of the year. There's Gritty's cousin, Gutty. Gritty and Gutty. Probably the inspiration for Gritty right there.
He doesn't have a raincoat on.
Doesn't need one. His hair is absorbent. I'm assuming.
How did you know that?
I just assume all hair is absorbent.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. Victor Robles, the pinch hitter, grounds out, and they're 2 away.
So we continue to have an endless supply of napkins.
No, that's for my electronics. That's for the electronics.
That may be what you're using it for. It's not why we're giving it to you.
Ah. Dry off the melon. So nice. Greg Holland in the bullpen.
Wieters, home run last time up.
He also hit a home run Saturday. That was his first since August 27th. So 2 within a few days of each other after 3 weeks without one.
Well, took full advantage of the wind patterns here at Nationals Park. Things have changed just a little bit. More blowing in our face now. You feel that wind blowing in your face?
Felt it all night, dude. Mr. I've got a window. Have you? Have you felt anything? Is
Nothing.
anything of yours damp at all?
No. Just a little bit. Not bad.
4-pitch walk to Wieters. And a 2-out base runner for the Nats. Wieters was the first batter that Guerra faced, gave up a home run, and since then he has retired every batter in between before the walk to Wieters. There's Defoe. To right, Sierra makes the play. 7 innings in the books at Nationals Park, a 7-3 Marlins deficit. Jeff Brigham and Max Scherzer, the two starting pitchers. Marlins Live pregame show on the air at 6:30. And the first pitch here at Nationals Park a little after 7. Max Scherzer in his quest for another Cy Young Award and also on a quest for 300 strikeouts this season. He needs 10. The Marlins hope that they can keep him from that round number. So we'll see. Marlins have had some success.
As a precursor to tomorrow, let me propose this idea. Just out loud, I'm curious to get your opinion on it. Now, DeGrom, he's at 177. You see the numbers on Greg Holland. Holland four-seam fastball, slider, and curve. Fastball in the 93, 94 mile an hour range. All right, here's what I want to know from you. Scherzer makes the start tomorrow night. Let's say he's got 2 more starts left. Let's say they're Scherzer-esque.
7 innings scoreless, 7 innings a run,
10
8
punch
innings
outs,
run.
couple of,
Okay.
I mean, what would it take, I guess, the question that I think we all have, because we've admitted this out loud over the last couple of weeks, that DeGrom has clearly caught our attention, and we all believe that the separation between his ERA and basically everybody else's is kind of got us all thinking that that's the driving force behind why he'll win the Cy Young Award. At least in my opinion, I've mentioned it and certainly said it. I mean, we're talking about, almost a full run difference. Not quite, but I think it's about 0.8 is the difference.
Right.
So what I'm asking is, what would Scherzer have to do in his last 2 starts to sway somebody from DeGrom to say, you know what, it's not DeGrom, it's Scherzer. Why we were messing this up all along.
DeGrom would probably have to get lit up.
So it's for you, Scherzer really can't do much more
And
to help
Scherzer,
his cause, in your mind.
Scherzer, the producer's whispering in my ear a thought that I kind of had, and I know it's a lot to ask. You might have to throw a no-hitter.
Well, I'm just
like
curious.
It's got to be something that is just huge, monumental, historic. As Sierra is out, big stretch there by Reynolds for the first out in the 8th inning. Yeah, that's what it would take. Now I'm trying to pull up the numbers here so I can have both DeGrom and Scherzer on the same page, and we can kind of look at these. All right, so Scherzer 17-7. We all know wins and losses don't mean everything, but I'm throwing it out there. So Scherzer 17-7, 257. He's got him by 4 innings pitched. So end of it, I think DeGrom has 1 more start. Scherzer has 2. So maybe he gets another 10 innings than him, something like that over the course of the year. Right now, fewer hits for Scherzer. More runs, way more runs by about 15, 20. 290 to 259 in the strikeouts. The whip's a little better. 917 and 938 in favor of Scherzer. Yeah, I think DeGrom's got to get lit up. And I don't think the Mets would allow that. I think if he, let's just say he gives up 3 runs. Whoa, 3 runs.
What if he just loses a game, let's say he gives up 3, and Scherzer goes out and pitches a no-hitter?
Does he loses a game and pitches okay but loses a game, or loses a game and gives up 6 runs?
Yeah, gives up 3 earned but loses the game. Finishes 9 and 10, and Scherzer goes on, throws a no, ends up with at a minimum 18 wins. And obviously that ERA, down into probably, I guess at this point, at 257 with 200 plus innings, they probably only get him down to about a 2.4.
Right. Yeah, I think we are past the wins and losses in terms of an evaluation standpoint. And even if you just want to look at the wins and the losses, okay, well, the wins favor Scherzer and the ERA favors DeGrom. So if you just want to look at it in a non-weighted fashion as just a category, I still think DeGrom wins this thing, wins the Cy Young.
Scherzer's got as many quality starts, too.
Yeah, but they're not historically in succession. Like right now, DeGrom is on this run where historically he's, 22, 23?
No hitter and 300 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, 300 strikeouts is huge. I think Kershaw, I've got it in my notes for tomorrow night, and I will save it for the bottom of the 8th inning, or even tomorrow. We'll see. A 1-2-3 inning. for the Bonefish fresh catch of the day. We go to the Trop. Brett Gardner way back in center field. Oh, boy. And then crashes into the wall. Hangs on, makes the catch. And low with the tip of the cap. Excellent play by Gardner in center.
I'll tell you what, 2 outs, runners on first and third. I think you could argue in some way that might be a game-saving catch. Full extension, hits the wall.
Robertson loved it.
No 2 earned runs. No 2 earned runs.
And the Yankees are currently leading the Tampa Bay Rays right now. It's 4-1 in the 9th inning at the Trop. Here, Brett Graves takes over his 20th game of the season. After some solid work from Javi Guerra. Did give up that leadoff home run in his first inning of work, but outside of that, 3 innings. That was the only hit surrendered, a walk and 2 strikeouts.
Well, Brett Graves into the ballgame. He has done some impressive work here in the second half. He really has. A lot of run, an earned run, I should say, in 9 of his last 11 ball games with a 2 ERA. He's got that ERA moving in the right direction. .736 ERA in the first half.
That one low. 3 balls and a strike to Mark Reynolds. It's his second plate appearance tonight. Struck out in the 5th. Part of a double switch after 4 innings of work from Steven Strasburg. Swung on. And fly ball out to right center field. It's going to be Brinson to make the catch. And we check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, JT Riddle loves playing baseball, but his most important role in life is being a dad. He has a 4-year-old little girl named Kaylee that motivates him every day. He says he wants to be the best he can possibly be for her, and becoming a father is the greatest thing that has ever happened to him. Guys, I know you can both relate to that.
Absolutely, and JT Riddle is very good at posting pictures on Instagram of his cute little daughter. And always says that he misses her so much. Of course, this line of work is not easy on the families, and certainly the wives and the children of these baseball players, and certainly in our case as well,
broadcasters.
The broadcasters as well. But the wives sacrifice and the kids sacrifice about as much, or likely much more, than we do.
You know, my beautiful spouse certainly takes on an awful lot during this time of year. 4 kids. She's about the only one who can pull it off.
Do you find it's just cheaper than sending flowers?
What's that?
To say the nice things on the air like
no,
that?
I should be apologizing
for
something. I'm not sure what that is yet, but Mars, I'm sorry. I apologize. I love you. Thank you for taking care of the kids.
I know you mean it. I'm just kidding. You're a terrific family man, and I mean that. Bottom of my heart, buddy. Eaton strikes out, 2 away here in the 8th.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for just $25.99. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus you get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer.
There's Trey Turner. A double and a run scored back in the 4th. .24-game on-base streak, 12-game hit streak for Turner, who adds his 2nd hit of the game, a base hit to center field. Here's Harper.
Well, one thing I've noticed, even with the small crowd tonight here at Nats Park, the rainy weather and the colder temperatures, every time Bryce Harper gets in the box, the cameras come out.
Another stolen base for Trey Turner. 43rd to extend his major league lead. WB Mason Marlins live post-game show. Craig, Tommy, Nelly back in the studio. We'll hear from Don Mattingly, get his thoughts on the start from Sandy Alcantara and some of the missed opportunities for the Marlins. Smack down the left field line and foul. Two balls and two strikes to Harper. You know, the more I think about it, the more I liken Bryce Harper to Alex Ovechkin, another big star in this city. In some ways, plays second fiddle to Mike Trout in Harper's case with all the MVP awards, and Ovechkin second fiddle to Sidney Crosby with the Stanley Cups. Ovechkin and the Capitals able to finally get off the schneid this past spring, win their first Stanley Cup. There was thoughts that maybe it was time in the last offseason. Maybe it was time to part ways with Ovechkin. That led to a Stanley Cup. Obviously, the situation a little different with Harper, a pending free agent. But the point of it is the Nationals have had a tough time getting out of the first round when they've made it to the postseason. This year, of course, they're out of postseason contention. But a run of NL East titles, trips to the postseason. Swung on and missed. And we move to the ninth inning. Harper took a big pass at that one, but came up empty. 7-3 in DC. do you? No, you call an Uber or the Lyft or whatever the bullpen card is called. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here at Nationals Park. The new Monopoly jackpot scratch off from the Florida Lottery is a new spin on a classic. Got a top prize of $5 million, so unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. So it's Sean Doolittle in for his 42nd game of the season. 25 of 26 in save opportunities, but this not a save situation with the Nationals up by 4 as we are in the 9th. Rojas, Realmuto, and O'Brien looking to start some sort of a rally against Doolittle.
That's one of the better fastballs for a closer in the game of baseball. Maybe not in velocity, but at least in results.
Rojas swings at the first pitch, pops one up toward the Marlins dugout. Look out, Rendon. Falling down those steps, ran out of room.
That was his four-seam fastball 90% of the time. You see an occasional slider and change. Not much. He really just brings it. Elevates as well as anybody.
Punch foul. A couple of defensive changes for the Nationals as Michael A. Taylor comes into the ball game in center field, and Bryce Harper moves over to right. Oh, 0-2 pitch to Rojas, misses upstairs. A ball and 2 strikes. Miggy with an RBI double in the first inning. Give the Marlins a 1-0 lead, but the Nationals quick to answer with 2 in the bottom of the inning. Nats scored 4 in the 4th. Both teams with a run in the 5th. Marlins 1 in the 7th, and here we are in the 9th. And a couple of hops to Turner. 1 away. Time for the Coors Banquet Timeless Moment. Take you back to 1997. Marlins beat the Expos 6-3. The then Florida Marlins got the club's first playoff berth, qualifying for the National League wild card en route to the first World Series championship in franchise history. Here's Realmuto. And JT just missed that one. It's underneath it for a fly ball out to left. 2 away.
Well, when you look back on this ball game, I think you're going to think of some missed opportunities against Strasburg early when the conditions were, well, maybe in some ways at their worst. Able to get a lot of base runners on, just not able to get a lot of guys in, and then you get to that Nationals 4th inning where they really opened it up. 4 runs in the bottom of the 4th. Change the direction of this ball game.
Last chance is Peter O'Brien.
2 hits tonight. Both going to left, a double and a single.
Fans sticking through the rain. Some ugly conditions throughout the night here in D.C. Fouled away, and the Marlins are down to their last strike. 2-2 pitch from Doolittle. Just got a piece of it. And O'Brien will see another.
What you saw from Doolittle, one of the few sliders that he throws. Sure, he remembers O'Brien's home run against Strasburg. Start to go. That's pretty impressive. Fastball in, turned it around.
Swung on and missed for strike 3, and the Nationals take the opener of this 3-game series. Neither starter lasting long in this one, both going 4. But the Nationals able to hold off the Marlins and take it 7-3 in some rainy conditions here in Washington, D.C. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. 7-3 Nats.